Hola! Let's get started on some review from last year. The very first thing that we need to do is talk about conjugation because that was how we construct our sentences. We need conjugated verbs. So first, let's do some quick review. So, what is an infinitive? It is an unconjugated verb. That means it is one of the verbs that ends in AR, ER, or IR. So, for example, hablar, that is an unconjugated verb. So, when looking at the parts of a verb, you have a stem and you have an ending. The stem is the part of the verb that is not AR, ER, or IR. The ending is the AR, ER, or IR. So if we take the same verb, hablar, the stem is HABL, habl, because that is what you have left if you take off that AR. So the term for changing the endings based on who is doing the verb or what is doing the verb, that is called conjugation. And we learned last year that there are 6 different forms of the conjugations for each verb. So before we get into the actual endings of each of these verbs, we need to talk about the subject pronouns. So we need to understand what all of these mean and translate to because those are the people and the things doing the verbs. So I'm going to read through all of them. Yo translates to I. Tu is you, but the informal version of you. So you would use this when talking to your friend or somebody you're super familiar with, somebody that's younger than you. Él is he. Ella is she. Usted also means you, but this is the formal version of you. So that means you would refer to somebody as usted if they were like your boss or somebody that you don't know very well, an acquaintance or somebody older than you, somebody that you need to give just a little bit more respect to. And then you've got nosotros or nosotras. Both of those mean we. Nosotros is the masculine, nosotras is the feminine. And then vosotros and vosotras are both you all. These are the informal versions of you all. So vosotros is when you have a group of people that are that you're more familiar with, or a group of people that are younger than you, or maybe a group of your friends. Then you have ustedes. Ustedes is the formal version of you all. So when you are talking to a group of people that maybe you need to give a little bit of extra respect to, or a group of people that are older than you, or maybe a group of your bosses or coworkers. Then you have ellos, which is they. That is the masculine form. So if you have a group of people that you are talking about and you would refer to them as they, if it is a mixture of boys and girls, or all boys, you are going to use ellos. The only time you would use ellas is when every single person in the group is a girl. It is they feminine. So here's where, on the right-hand side of the screen, here is where they would be placed on this conjugation map. We have on the left-hand side of this conjugation map the singular forms. So like yo, tú, and él, ella, and usted are all only talking about one single person at a time. Yo is I, just me, nobody else. Tú is you, just you, nobody else. And as you go down from the top row to the bottom one, you have first person, second person, and third person. So first person is when you are talking about yourself or you are included in this group. And second person is when you are talking to somebody. So that's when you are saying you or you guys. And then third person is when you are talking about somebody. So you would refer to them by name or you would say he or she. Then moving over to the right-hand side, we have plural. So first person plural. You're still included because it's first person, but there's more than just you. There's you and somebody else. So what are we going to refer to that as? We, us, nosotros. Second person is you're talking to somebody, but you're talking to multiple people because it's plural. So you guys or you all. And then ellos, ellas, and ustedes, that is plural version of the third person. So instead of saying he, if there are multiple he's, you'd say they. Knowing these subject pronouns and knowing which names or items go with each subject pronoun will help you figure out which endings to use. So, as some quick practice, I know that they're all displayed on the screen as answers, but go ahead and practice on your own by covering up the right-hand side of the screen. See if you get it right. See how many of these subject pronouns you can assign to these names, these groups of people, or these single people. So now getting into the actual conjugation, the way that you are going to conjugate a verb after you've figured out which form you need to use, you are going to take the ending off of the verb. Remember how we talked about two different parts of the verb? You have the stem, and then you have the ending, which is the AR, ER, or IR. So you're going to take off the last two letters, which is the ending, and these are what you would replace it with if you were doing this for an AR verb. So we've got adivinar, which means to guess. So the very first step is taking off that ending. You're going to take off that AR, and you are left with adivin, ADIVIN. The rest of this is just pretty much just plugging and chugging. So the yo form would be adivino. You're going to take all of the endings from the left-hand side over here, the left chart, and you're going to just put them onto the stem. So when translated, adivino would be I guess. And then for the to form, adivinas, you guess. Adivina, he guesses, or she guesses, or you formal guess. Adivinamos, we guess. Adivinais, you all informal guess. And adivinan is they guess, or you formal guess. The other two forms of the verbs, or the other two types of verbs, ER and IR, are the same in that you are going to just be taking off the last two letters and replacing them with the endings based off of who is doing the verb or what is doing the verb. So these are the endings for ER verbs specifically. They look almost the same as AR, except the A's have been replaced with E's. So the yo form's ending is O, and then in to form you've got es, then e, and moving up to nosotros, hemos, es, en. So just like what we did with the AR verbs, you're going to take off the last two letters. We've got aprender. We're left with aprend as the stem. So when you take all of those endings and you put them on those verbs and you've conjugated them, for example, aprendo, I learn, because aprendo is the yo form. Or if I move down to aprenden, that is the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. So that would be they learn, or you formal learn. I have an example on the bottom left under we are learning Spanish. So I have taken the ER off of aprender, and because we are the ones doing the verb, I took the we form ending, which is hemos, and put it on that stem. Nosotros aprendemos el español. This is the last type of verb. You have the IR verb endings. They look almost exactly the same as the ER verb endings, but there are two forms that are not the same. You have the nosotros form, which is imos, I-M-O-S, and the vosotros form, which is is, just I-S, with an accent on that I. So same deal. You're going to take off the last two letters of your verb. So my example here is escribir. You're going to take off that IR and you're left with escribe. So depending on who is doing that verb, you would take whatever the ending that corresponds with that subject pronoun and put it on that stem. So if I wanted to say you, informal, write, I'm going to take the es for the to form and put it on the end of escribe. Tú escribes. Tú escribes el significado. You write the meaning. But if I wanted to use the formal version of you, like you, if I'm talking to my boss or somebody I don't know very well, and I want to say you write the meaning, I would use escribe, because the E is the form that goes with usted. It is the el, ella, usted form. So that ending is E. And lastly, we've got some examples here. So you will be taking the names or the subjects of these people and conjugating the verb in parentheses based off of those people, based off of who is doing the verb. I know that the answers are shown on here on the screen, so go ahead and pause it if you'd like to and cover the right-hand side of the screen and go ahead and try to conjugate some verbs, then you can check your answers.